Joining me right now is Arizona Congresswoman, House Judiciary Committee and House Homeland Security Committee member Debbie Lesko. Congresswoman, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. Your reaction to mail-in voting. Tell us what the threat is.
Well, I think the threat is mass mail-in voting, where the government just mails everybody and anybody a ballot, and the people don't even request it. So, for instance, in my apartment here in Washington, D.C., I still get mail from residents from, 3-4 years ago? I get 4 different people. If ballots were sent to me, what would prevent some nefarious person from filling out a ballot for somebody else, or somebody that's dead, or an illegal alien filling out a ballot? Now, in Arizona, we have a good mail-in ballot system where we request the ballot, and that's different. When you request the ballot, you verify that that's the person that's getting it. That's good. I encourage people to mail in their ballot if they requested a ballot. But this other thing that Democrats are pushing, where they just want to mail everybody and anybody, including illegal immigrants, including dead people, including everybody, a ballot, that leads to fraud.
Yeah, and so who's in charge of this? Is it the state legislatures? Is it the governors of each state who decides how much mail-in voting should be done?
Well, sometimes it's the state legislature and laws, but also it's the elected county election officials. And in Maricopa County in Arizona, it's a Democrat, and a very liberal Democrat. So Republicans have to keep an eye on him, because he's trying to get away with things like last time he did emergency voting centers just in Democrat areas. And geez, not surprisingly, Kyrsten Sinema's literature showed up there, but not the Republicans. I mean, I've seen firsthand in Judiciary Committee where the Democrats play dirty, and I don't put anything past them, so we have to be very vigilant.
All right, Kelly, jump in here.
Yeah, Congresswoman, certainly here in New York, we've seen a lot of problems with mail-in ballots. And of course, the June primary, they not expecting the results till August. So I understand President Trump's concerns, but of course, a lot of people are worried about the safety of voting during a pandemic. What do you think? Is it safe to have in-person voting this November?
Well, yes, I think it is safe to have in-person voting. I mean, for goodness sakes, we go to grocery stores. At least the majority, all of the Republicans in Congress come to work in person. We go to committee hearings in person. Everybody is going back to work. They have to do it in a safe manner. But yes, we can safely go back and vote in person. But really, I think in Arizona and in Florida and other states, you can request a mail-in ballot if you don't feel safe going to the poll. And then at least the person is verified, unlike this just mass mailing of ballots to everybody and anybody. I mean, if you request it and your identification is verified, that's a different thing, and that's okay. We've been doing it for years in Arizona, and the vast majority of people vote by mail now in Arizona, but all the signatures are verified. I mean, this is something where the voter requests it and then their identification is verified.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for fraud. I hear you in terms of what we've actually seen as evidence. I want to switch gears, ask you something about what took place yesterday from the Federal Appeals Court, announcing that it will reconsider the Department of Justice's move to dismiss charges against General Michael Flynn, Congresswoman. This adds yet another twist to this case. Your reaction?
It's absolutely outrageous. I mean, the nightmare against General Flynn continues. I mean, we have seen from all the documents released that the Obama administration was setting up General Flynn. It went all the way to the top. It was talked about in the Oval Office, and Joe Biden brought up the Logan Act to use against him. I mean, and then you saw an official writing in on a piece of paper, which we saw, what's the purpose here? Are we out to fire General Flynn, or are we out to go after him and indict him? I mean, this is insanity, what is going on, and it's very clear that there was a plot to undermine the president's election, and they continue. They just had A.G. Barr in the other day. I bet they're going to try to impeach him, too.
But, Congresswoman, your colleagues on the left will not acknowledge this. They won't acknowledge the setup of Flynn. They won't acknowledge the setup of President Trump, even though we already know that there was criminality. One of the FBI agents changed a document, changed evidence. I mean, we know that there were unlawful FISA applications, but your colleagues won't mention it.
You're absolutely right. And they won't even acknowledge that there was a takeover of a Seattle city. I mean, we had Congresswoman Jayapal saying it wasn't even a takeover.
Yeah.
It's total insanity.
All right. Unbelievable. Congressman, thank you. We'll be right back.